Hey everyone, welcome to this explainer. As a professional football historian, I literally spend my life analyzing the shifts, the eras, and the defining moments of the beautiful game. And today, we're diving right into the year 2026. We're going to unpack exactly why it represented a monumental paradigm shift in the history of global sports. We aren't just looking at a few matches played over a summer, we're looking at how this specific tournament completely rewrote the record books and changed how we experience international football forever. It's often said that 2026 is a year that will forever be remembered in football history. Now, as historians, we really don't throw around a concept like sporting immortality lightly. But in this case, it's entirely justified. We aren't just examining a standard sporting event that comes and goes every 4 years. We're looking at a true watershed moment that broke traditional boundaries and set a completely new standard for what a global event could actually be.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1. A historic sporting milestone.
3. That is the first number you really need to wrap your head around. For the absolute first time in the competition's storied history, the tournament was jointly hosted by 3 distinct nations. We'd seen single hosts, and exactly once before we saw 2 nations co-host. But 3? That required a diplomatic and logistical miracle that the sporting world had literally never witnessed before. We're talking about the United States, Canada, and Mexico forming this unprecedented logistical alliance. It created a massive continent-wide stage. Just think about the sheer travel distances and the extreme climate shock. You had fans and players navigating from the cool, damp coastal air of Vancouver straight down to the sweltering high-altitude heat of Mexico City in a matter of days. It was a rigorous endurance test before a single ball was even kicked. And stepping onto that massive stage was a record-shattering 48 teams. Previously, we were capped at 32, so this massive expansion meant more nations, completely unique styles of play, and more cultures converging with a single dream, to become world champions. It fundamentally democratized the tournament, giving brand new nations a chance to write their own chapters in football history.
Moving on to our next chapter, Generations and Nations Collide.
This wasn't just a North American event. Football fever took over the entire planet. From the bustling streets of Buenos Aires and the sun-soaked beaches of Rio to historic European squares and remote, passionate villages all across Africa and Asia. During those weeks, human beings across multiple time zones and every single continent were bound together with waving flags and echoing anthems. The whole world effectively paused, united in its focus on the beautiful game. And on the pitch, we witnessed this fascinating dynamic. You had fresh, fearless young stars stepping onto the world stage for the very first time, going head-to-head with seasoned veteran icons who were desperately chasing their final, fleeting shot at ultimate glory. It was just a beautiful, dramatic passing of the torch, broadcast live to billions of people.
Which brings us to Section 3, the crucible of competition.
Looking back, the drama escalated on this perfect, almost cinematic chronological arc. It began with the frantic, unpredictable energy of the group stage in the opening weeks. Then, it ramped up into the unbearable sudden death pressure of the knockout rounds, before finally culminating in one defining 90-minute championship match. In those early stages, the traditional hierarchy of global football was completely turned on its head. Because the expanded format introduced so many new, unpredictable playing styles, we saw massive underdogs rising against incredible odds. Meanwhile, the established historical giants of the sport, they stumbled heavily under the immense pressure to adapt. Out on the pitch in 2026, past reputations meant absolutely nothing. Then came the knockout rounds, where the margin for error vanished completely. One mistake means elimination. At this point, players weren't just playing a game anymore. They were carrying the hopes of entire nations. Every single pass, tackle, and shot was a matter of national survival for the millions of fiercely loyal supporters watching back home. But hey, the flip side to that brutal pressure is the ultimate reward. One moment of brilliance means immortality. The roar of those massive North American crowds grew exponentially louder as the stakes became completely unbearable. It was right there, in that heated crucible, that ordinary players forged legendary moments that are going to echo through history forever.
Let's head into Section 4, one trophy, one champion. The math of the tournament was ruthlessly efficient. 48 teams gather from around the globe, totally full of hope. Then, the unrelenting knockout pressure systematically eliminates all but the absolute elite. It keeps whittling them down until only 2 nations are left standing on the very precipice of ultimate glory. Which brings us to the ultimate question.
What happens when the final whistle blows? As those last 90 minutes ticked away, deciding the fate of this single remaining trophy, the entire world held its breath. What does the aftermath of such a titanic clash actually look like? And that leads perfectly into our final section, an unforgettable global legacy. The images from that final whistle are universally recognized, burned right into our collective memory. Confetti filling the stadium sky, that incredibly raw, dual nature of sports history captured in a single frame, where tears of absolute joy mix directly with tears of devastating heartbreak. A captain lifting world football's most prestigious trophy, while an entire nation thousands of miles away erupts to celebrate a lifelong dream fulfilled. Guys, this is the absolute pinnacle of the human sporting experience.
Ultimately, the 2026 World Cup was never just a tournament. It was a true celebration of passion, a massive festival of cultures. By bringing 48 nations together across an entire continent, it transcended the simple mechanics of the beautiful game, uniting humanity in a way that very, very few things in our modern world can.
When historians like myself sift through the archives, the footage, the matches, the crowd reactions, the historical record reveals exactly this: a profound story of hope, determination, and unity. It was a magnificent narrative of the human spirit pushed to its absolute limits, succeeding and failing beautifully on the world's biggest stage. I want to leave you with this final, provocative thought to ponder today. What modern sporting event will ever again manage to unite the entire planet in such an unforgettable festival of passion? The sheer scale, the expanded inclusion, and the cultural impact of 2026 set a staggering new benchmark. It was an event the world will truly never forget, and its echoes will resonate in the world of sports forever. Thank you so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep learning, keep asking questions, and I'll catch you next time.